This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Proops.
This is Jeffrey Reddick.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
This is Nathan East.
This is Sebastian Younger.
This is David Labb.
This is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick Gillette.
I'm Krista Vernoff.
This is Ryan Sickles.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, I'm Mark Fowley.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
Boy, we've got a motherfucker of an album fight.
Yes, indeed. It is a big battle. It's an epic battle.
And now, the Break It Down Show with John Leon Guerrero, Mark Valley, and Pete A. Turner.
Yeah, in the red corner. Pyromania was the third album by Def Leppard, produced by the legendary Mutt Lange. It featured the introduction of Phil Collen into the band, who joined in the middle of recording. He replaced Pete Willis, who was fired for his excessive drinking, which always begs the question, how fucking much do you have to drink to get booted out of Def Leppard?
Yeah, no kidding.
So, anyway, it was an enormous album for them. They sold over 10 million units, so diamond album for Def Leppard. It was the album that shows the band beginning to cement the pop sensibilities that made their hard rock feel so commercially viable. In the blue corner, Synchronicity was the fifth studio album by The Police, and it was their grand finale. It was the most commercially successful album, and garnished the most critical acclaim, too. It was nominated for 5 Grammy Awards in 1984 and won 3 of them. Best Pop Performance, Best Rock Performance by a Duo or Group, and Every Breath You Take won Song of the Year. That song also replaced the Beatles' Yesterday as the most played song on broadcast airwaves, for which Sting reportedly makes about $6,000 a week in royalties still.
Say that again one more time, because that is enormous.
Yeah. Every Breath You Take dethroned the Beatles' Yesterday, which spent decades as the most played song on broadcast airwaves. Now it's Every Breath You Take, and the mechanical royalties that Sting earns from that song are, to this day, approximately $6,000 a week.
Good gracious.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
That's what I'm making a year.
Right.
Yeah.
A week, and he's getting that sitting still.
That's incredible, man. That is, wow.
I am ready to start this thing. A couple of brief notes, though, about the recordings themselves. Literally 5 seconds separate the total time between these two records.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's close.
Yeah. So Synchronicity came in at 45:18. Def Leppard came in at 45:23. Def Leppard had 10 tracks on Pyromania. Synchronicity had 10 tracks on the vinyl record, but the CD and the cassette came with a bonus 11th track. So we're going to leave that bonus 11th track off for now, and we're going to go with just the first 10 versus the first 10. We'll use the 11th as a tiebreaker,
okay,
as we sometimes do.
That makes sense.
And so round 1 is Synchronicity 1 versus Rock Rock Till You Drop.
The whole thing for me in this album is you have the classic rock and roll monster band, you know, where you've got party rock and all of these things, and this is it. And so when I look at these genres, how I assess it, I look at what other song is like this. Well, I Want to Rock by Twisted Sister, or Fight for Your Right to Party, you know, these songs, and how does it measure up with these songs? And being first does create a benefit, but when I look at this song, there's nothing to miss here. I mean, everything is good. One of the things about Def Leppard is you hear so many fingerprints from other bands. Clearly this song is an AC/DC song, so how would this song measure up against what those guys do?
Yeah,
you know, and it measures up strong. It's the hooks. One of the things about having Phil Collen and Steve Clark in there is they got it right away. Those guys have the hooks, they cement, they do their job. Thomas Dolby was on this particular song.
Yeah.
And that guy's a hook monster too.
Yeah.
So it's a good song, it's a rocker. And when I look at Synchronicity and what it is, man, Sting can write some goddamn lyrics. And this is going to make a difference, you know, in this album.
Yeah.
And what happens here. And look at the people he's pulling from. He's pulling from Yeats, and he's quoting Latin, and he's talking about
Carl Jung.
and
yeah.
Yeah. You don't get to do that get it wrong. And he does it. He gets it right. Like there's some guy that's got a way too dark a shirt that no one's ever heard of who can talk about, quoting anybody, right? But they don't get it like Sting does. Sting does it. Fucking we're going to hear about Mephistopheles later on, and it's
yes, exactly.
It's lyrical. So the lyrics are strong in this song, but for me in this case, I just think that Def Leppard outguns him, and is Def Leppard too much of a one-trick pony? Are they too emblematic of their genre to get out? I don't know. But right now from the start, it's like, yeah, this is exactly what I expect. I expect a rock and roll monster to take on just an absolute legend of a band in the Police and whatever's above a legend in what an icon in what Sting is. And his ability, his tools go against it. In this case, I gave a slight nod to Rock Rock Till You Drop.
Okay, well, it's a fight. I liked Rock Rock Till You Drop for the super dramatic halftime drum beat over the heavy chords in the beginning. That's kind of like fog rolling in ahead of the flying V. Not the guitar, but the formation. With Joe Elliott at the tip of the spear, when the song gets going, it sort of steps up and they've arrived. And I really dug the way they did that. The effect is great and Def Leppard is great at it. And you're right. It's kind of like an AC/DC song. They sort of lurk in. And I thought about Floyd Mayweather coming in round one, chipping, jabbing, sizing you up. The Police, though, they come out swinging. They come out swinging like a pissed off Tommy Hearns, except roid raging, running out to the middle of the ring. He doesn't even know who he's fighting. And, it's almost like he just discovered Red Bull and somebody said something about his mama. And, he just comes out just swinging, blasting. That electronic marimba part that Stewart opens with, that wasn't really him, but it's a common misconception that the sequenced keyboard part that Sting composed was somehow played by Stu, but it's not. So I just thought I'd throw that in there. Anyway, that thing comes in at like 140 beats per minute. Damn. And that is a motherfucker of an opening song to play live. Even once, but let alone... Then he must have played that song 360 times on a tour that went to 185 countries.
Yeah.
So just for the fact that Stuart Copeland is still alive and his heart didn't explode from their opening number, I gave that round to the Police.
He definitely talks about that too, because I dug deep into the into what was happening, around the world at that time and what these guys are talking about. He talks about that. He's like, someone sets off a bomb, and I got to keep up.
Yeah.
I want to say this too about Synchronicity is that the keys that Andy Sumner puts in there are great. They're very 80s, but not in a dated way, just capturing the moment of that. And then Sting does the perfect thing. So it's very Man in the Machine, which is actually kind of a callback to their previous album, Ghost in the Machine. But they've got this tempo. Like this is a tempo that you might hear in the first Terminator movie, like the same kind of vibe. So without meaning to, they kind of captured that essence of the 80s. And I thought that was really cool, and how Andy got that down, and it's such a nice compliment to what's going on in that song, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so round two, Walking in Your Footsteps versus Photograph. This wasn't even close for me. So Walking in Your Footsteps to me was great, but the change of pace and the lack of drums and the Police sound like they're gassed from round one. So,
yeah,
boy, you unleashed in round one and you came back and you're huffing and puffing. And Photograph's a motherfucker.
Yeah, it is.
VH1 called Photograph the 13th greatest hard rock song of all time. And here's an interesting note about Photograph was the video was shot on Rick Savage's 22nd birthday. He's the bass player for Def Leppard. This was their third album. We both got kids who were turning 21 in a matter of months here. Think about the fact that Rick Savage had already recorded his third album.
Yes.
By the time, and they were already making videos for the songs they had chosen as singles. So that's another thing to consider as we talk about the seasoned, sophisticated lyrical content and compositional themes that Sting introduced us to when we size them up against this ragtag fucking bunch of kids, man, in Def Leppard. This is an amazing fight.
Yeah, no, it is an amazing fight. I looked, so let me just say this, and this is one of the critical things. And I suppose we should always do our caveat since we're doing these things. We want people to understand. We have these album fights to celebrate the work, to go back and grab records that we love and find a new way to enjoy the music. So we want to appreciate music. We want to have great conversations with our friends and support the artists that create this stuff. So that's the caveat. But this is a song for me that was one of my favorites on the album because it is a little bit different. It's kind of like Bullet the Blue Sky when that came out on Joshua Tree. It's like, oh, wow, this song is different, and it really stuck with me. So this is that song on the album. I'm going to wash away my personal bias, at least initially, and take a look at this song for what it is. And like you said, the lack of drums, or at least using percussion instead of drums, doesn't exactly move things. It is a change of pace, and I get why Hugh and the band makes this decision. Like, you have this bomb go off, and you're like, now we're going to slow it down.
Sure.
And it's part of the album structure, but in our format, round for round, you are facing photographs. So while I love personally walking in your footsteps,
Yeah.
Photograph, and this is a big thing for me, if it's a pillar song from the band's catalog, and Photograph certainly is, that means something. That means of all the songs, the hundreds and songs that Def Leppard ever wrote, this is one of the ones they can lean on no matter what venue they're in. They can always play Photograph, and the crowd is going to go crazy.
Yep.
And when you take on a pillar of a song like that, there's nothing weak about walking in your footsteps, but it's not that.
No,
and
it's a neat song.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to say about it is it's taken a completely different tone. Like, folks from a different or a later generation wouldn't get, like, this is not about protecting the earth because of the environment, although the song has evolved that way. This is about not nuking ourselves into oblivion, is what this song is really about.
That's true.
Now it's got this different vibe because but this song still fits. And songs that fit over decades and they evolve into a different message, that also has something. But that's not enough something to beat Photograph. Photograph is the song any rock balladeer wants to write.
Absolutely.
Anybody.
If you have one of these in your career, you have an amazing career. Photograph is the song that does drive everybody bananas. And when the police play Walking in Your Footsteps, that's a good time for me to go pee.
Well, for me, when I played this song, what I felt and what was put into my brain were just images that I didn't know that were there. It was a time machine for me, Photograph was. And that doesn't always happen, but when it does, I let it happen and I embrace it. And there's images. There's like a bleach blonde. There's red lipstick. There's like a white, one-piece bathing suit, red sunglasses. Like, there's this image, you know? And I don't know
Good
if
images.
it's an amalgamation of the Benicia pool or whatever, but there's a vibe that I have to give credit to Joe and the boys for creating that, because it's just fucking incredible. And it's why Def Leppard is great.
Yep. Okay.
So where are we at right now with the scoring, John?
I'm dead even. Synchronicity winning round 1. Photograph winning round 2.
Okay. And I've got Rock, and I've got Photograph winning. So I've got 2 rounds. Two 1-point advantage rounds for Def Leppard. It's going to be close.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Okay. Now, if I went to go to the bathroom during Walking in Your Footsteps, I came running back out for Oh My God. And stage fright just didn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
So the way that you describe Rock Till You Drop being kind of an AC/DC song and them showing their influences, when I listen to Stage Fright, there's a lot of general young male concert aggression, which is great. And they put together a lot of the influences they had to put that out. And I salute that. The song for me doesn't hold up over the years, though. I do love a live recording, but this is not my favorite.
Well, if we're going to talk about Stage Fright right now, I'll say the same thing. Their attempt here, it sounds like LA Rock. It sounds like Sunset Strip. All those guys are doing this sound. So it's 1 part Rush, it's 3 parts AC/DC, it's a little Van Halen. And when you get it right, you get Rock Till You Drop. When you don't, you get Stage Fright. And there's nothing wrong with Stage Fright. In their genre, that song holds up against a lot of songs.
Yeah.
But it doesn't hold up against the really strong songs from that genre. So it's a cut below in terms of their own genre. Now you get out of that and you take on the Police, and it's not good enough. The lyric is just, I'm big on lyrics. At this level, it's not good enough to beat what Sting does, because Sting does not put out a bad lyric.
Nope.
So if you slip there, you've lost this fight. So right now, right here, that lyric, it's too pedestrian, it's too cliche, and that's the problem. They didn't become emblematic, they became cliche in this song.
That's well said. Oh my God, you take the biscuit. For me, it's a great groove.
Yeah.
I know Stewart says he's not a funk drummer because he's all loosey-goosey, but on this cut he holds it down. And he always tells us on this song where one is, and that makes this track funky. So, the thing about funk is he says it's tight, and I think this song straddles the line between loose and tight, but it emphasizes the one. And just like James Brown, you got to show me where one is. And it's the same with Sting's bass line, too. He always lands on the one. It does a little walking. It's cool that he plays it on a fretless bass, which makes it sound kind of like they're a fusion band.
Uh-huh.
So I dug that. Andy's part is great. I like the reverb. I like that it's kind of distant. I dug the combinations that were in this song. Fill it up.
Oh God is the kind of song that a true legend band can pull off. This is not a song that other bands can pull off because it's too experimental. Who takes on God as a theme in a song?
Yeah.
I mean, and then walks out like wiping the dust off your shoulder going, that's what I told you. I told you.
That's what I told you.
Treat me well no matter what you say. What?
Uh-huh.
Standing right there in front of God saying, hey, look at this. The umbrella's big enough, but I'm always the one that gets wet. And my favorite lyric from this is that, turn the other cheek. Mine's black, bruised, and torn.
And bruised and torn.
That torn is like...
I've been waiting since the day that I was born.
Yeah. He's going to rhyme that somewhere, but at the time you're like, wait, torn? Holy shit. Like, that's different. That's a level of... That's not toughness. That's abuse.
Yeah.
And it's like, here you are, God. Here's what I'm dealing with. And that... Man, I love the drum fills in this.
The drum fills are so good in this song.
Yeah.
They make you wait.
Mm-hmm. And then when they get there, you're like, And so I had to listen to the song twice because I also heard Andy playing, and I'm like, oh my God, look what he's doing in this song and how I just can't say enough about how he layers in the texture and takes the lyric and really... It's a three-piece band. I mean, granted, they have other people in the studio helping out and everything, but this is a three-piece band. Andy will play guitar and keys in the song. He does all that stuff. That's his job. And holy fuck, does he do great at it. So this is...
man, texture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He'll throw in a herringbone suit.
Yeah.
If you want some texture.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of different... Yeah.
Well, we haven't managed to tell our listeners, by the way, if you haven't already... Go listen to our Stuart Copeland episode. You can find it on the website or scroll back through iTunes and find it and listen to it because he talks about these themes and we love Stuart Copeland and, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Everybody go back and listen to that.
No, definitely go back and listen to it. I wanted to ask you about time on this thing because I know Sting and Stewart fought a lot about time. And in this song, I feel like they're having this conversation, this disagreement in this song. What is it? Maybe you explained it about telling us where one was, but there's a foundational rhythm section tension in this song that I perceive, but I'm too much of a layman.
No, you hit it right on the head. I mean, I always tell you when you're on a musical theme and I go, no, Pete, that's not it. But that is perfectly it. The importance of one in funk is it brings everybody back to the
Uh-huh.
And then you can do the things in between. And sometimes the things in between are space. And sometimes the things in between are drive. And so if you listen to the bass line, he's pushing forward.
Uh-huh.
And then landing on one. And pushing forward and landing on one. Stu, on the other hand, is holding back on the snare drum. So that tension that you hear, is Sting pushing the bass line and Stu pulling back that snare drum. So when he hits that snare, as opposed to leaning forward on the beat, he's pulling back. And that was what made Rick Marotta a living.
Yeah.
So That's exactly what it is. There's a groove tension in there that makes that song like it's fun. And I think that's exactly what I love about this groove is precisely what you said, which Andy's all texture.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing the thing, you listen to the reverb, he's got a little echo
so
on
good.
his guitar. Yeah, and he's playing those, he's kind of chicken scratchy up on the fretboard and just having fun. Meanwhile, Sting and Stu are playing tug of war with the time.
Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to say, and this is not really a critique, it's just a thing that I wish maybe would have happened, and I'm sure would happen on tour, is that I want that to be real horns. I want that to be three black dudes in tuxes off on the side of the stage, blasting the back of the arena with that sound, because those horns that aren't really there, if they were there, that might take this song it's like to an even higher level. And live, you'd want to have that. You'd want to fill that auditorium with that. You have the texture, you got the funk, and now you got these arrows just and it would just blow the roof off the house for sure.
Yeah, 3-piece horn section with a big fat dude on trombone.
Yes.
All right, round 4.
I wanted to say
Too
this.
Late for Love versus Mother. Yeah.
I wanted to say this before we go. I read this thing in one of the reviews of the album, and this is the review in '83 when it came out. And this is a quote. But Mother, written by guitarist Andy Summers and Miss Gradenko by Stuart Copeland, neither tune can match up with Sting's compositions either in style or output, but their inclusion here helps to make the LP more balanced and democratic. I would add, and produced, because if you don't have these songs, you don't have an album. You don't have Andy playing along. And he talks about how he's like, I struggle to write a song for Sting's voice, so I'm not writing in my voice. And there's no doubt that Andy can write a song, but he's like trying to write something that Sting can perform, because in their band, Sting is the singer. So I get what he's saying, and he's like, I'm trying to write something that would resonate with him, but I've got to write it from a place where it's going to be good. And there's a struggle there. So leading into this is not a new conversation, this song against whatever they're going to go against here. But I thought it was a really neat thing to reflect on from '83, that it was recognized back then that these songs are something different.
Well, I don't share your same optimism about Andy Summers' songwriting, because my favorite Andy Summers song is, I don't know any other Andy Summers songs.
Yeah.
And to give him I'm trying to write with Sting's voice in mind. That's like, you know what? I'm trying to create this batting lineup with Barry Bonds somewhere, and I'm struggling with it.
Yeah?
No, you don't struggle with it. You give him the bat. You try to get a couple guys on base first, and then you hand him the fucking bat. So I'm being hypercritical of Andy Summers' songwriting because I hate this song. God, I hate this hideous fucking song.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy some of the Andy Summers things that he did with like Adrian Belew. I can't remember what the name of that act was that they did together when they went off and enjoyed some guitar nerdy stuff.
Right.
His songwriting is like that. It's really very sophisticated guitar experimental stuff that's not for a pop album, which ultimately this is it won best pop performance by a duo or group, and it won best rock performance by a duo or group. So clearly it straddled the line, and that's not where Andy Summers' strength as a songwriter is.
Yeah.
So I'll give him that, but I ain't giving him against Too Late for Love. I'm not giving him this round. I think Too Late for Love had that keyboard intro, again, credited to Booker T. Boffin. Who,
yes.
Of course, like you mentioned, was Thomas Dolby. That's pretty cool. I get a kick out of that. A big power ballad, though, here's what was special for me is this is a great place to hear the Def Leppard vocal harmonies. And I think they're underappreciated for their harmonies. I think they're like, I put them up there with the Everly Brothers, with the Letterman. And again, they're in their early 20s, man, kicking out these chords, these vocal parts that are just thick and melodic and beautiful. And, the guitar parts on this song, they're not too overdriven, so you can really hear what they're doing. This is a chance for Def Leppard to really flex as a band. And I think they did a better job than Mother.
Well, I did go the other way, and I'll tell you why I did. And I struggled to do this. First off, I like Too Late, and I felt like this song wasn't finished. And what would the band do with this song 10 years later? This was them trying to get to the next level, and they just haven't done the reps to get there. But again, the guitars, Clark and Call, they're so great in here. Like they do what they do. They do what rock stars do. The problem is there's just that continued lack of separation. Are you guys part AC/DC? You're going to sound like you're going to be so good at this, you're copied by the other bands more successfully. And this is one of those things where I thought about a Venn diagram, and they are right in the middle of the two overlapping circles. And oftentimes that's a great thing, but artistically, they're leaving a lot of the other two circles open. They're just, I hate to use the term on the nose because I think it's too used. But again, they're on that razor's edge, Bergie's edge, right? Of are you emblematic or are you cliche? And for me, this song was just a little bit too cliche. And I struggled to go, okay, I know this song is good, but is it great? What Mother did, and I don't at all fault anybody from going the other direction. I believe I'm in the minority on this, but I did look at this hard to try to figure out what the difference was. And at one point, I did have this going for Too Late, but then I realized what Mother was. Mother is tension in the album. They want to create this thing. And I hate this song too. I really don't like it at all. And Andy does write good songs. That Sally, Like a Rubber Ball from the first album, that's his song. So yeah, he does write good songs. But this one, it's about hating your mother and how she dominates your life, and it's really your own problem. So there's all this internal conflict, and how he delivers that is what, for me, makes this song, in this case, where you're trying to nail down the edge, neither band finds it. But he delivers that tension. He delivers that anger. And I likened it to Glenn Close's character in Fatal Attraction. Glenn Close was so great in that role as Alexandra Fox that I hated Glenn Close. like I can't even watch her movies anymore because she nailed that Fox role so well. And that's what this song does. He gets it right. What I wish they would have done is not put this song out there, or let Sting have it and you guys co-write it. And then why the hell, if you've got Sting and Stuart Copeland in your band, why is Sting doing this on the bass, and why is Stu just going duk 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 on the bass drum? Like I don't got time for that. That's a waste.
No.
Right?
That's giving Barry Bonds the bunt sign.
Yeah. Why don't you bunt, Barry? Why don't you take? It's like I was already taking. I've already been taking. Yeah. I only hit strikes. Shut up and leave me alone. But this is a band that, honestly, this is a song that the Eagles get right, because they're going to look at each other, and someone, probably Glenn Frey, is going to say, Don Henley's singing this song, and Don Henley knows what to do with this song to get it to where it needs to be. It's not this weird ass shit that will fly with Adrian Belew, and I love the fuck out of Adrian Belew because these guys make you uncomfortable. But if that's what this song is designed to do, which I believe it is, then it's better. It's better than the cliche. So I'm giving it to them for that reason.
Wow, that was pretty heavy, man.
It wasn't easy to get there.
That was almost like, that 3-bean casserole that you burnt the shit out of, and everybody was pissed off at you about it. Yeah. But then when we threw it out the window, a turkey vulture came and attacked our house, and then we ended up huddled in the basement, and that was the best Christmas ever because we were huddled in the basement together. Yeah. That's what you just did with Mother.
But
okay.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Fuck. Wow.
Yep.
Gave him the round and said you hated it.
I do, and I was trying to wash my bias out. I'm like, how's my bias affecting me? And that's what unlocked it for me. I hate this song because it makes me uncomfortable. That's why I hate this song. Why does it make me uncomfortable? Because Andy fucking Summers said so.
Because that's what he said. Yeah, that's
and I'm
what
like,
he wanted to do.
Fuck, now what am I going to do? He actually accomplished it, and he actually stuck the landing. It was an ugly fucking jump. You did the stupidest jump ever, and you didn't let your friends help you, but all right, fuck. You did what you said you were going to do. So, yeah.
Okay, well, you know what I dug as a pop song? Miss Gradenko.
Yeah.
I liked it. It's short, it's punchy. I would have liked to have heard something. I don't. There's something about that chord structure that I can't really explain because I'm not a music theorist. But there's a resolution in that nobody but us in here, nobody but us. It just feels so good when that chord comes along and resolves everything.
Yeah.
And that is a happy tune about a woman who works as I've never really picked apart that lyric, although I imagine that there's something espionage going on, and we know about his background.
Yes.
So there's some like shady dealing, and Miss Gradenko's going to take care of it, and nobody's going to know, and then it's going to be fine. And for some reason, it's fine. And there's an optimism that lives in that song that I really like. And I like it more than Die Hard the Hunter. Die Hard the Hunter for me was too long.
Yes.
And it seems like all the songs on Pyromania that, we like them all. They're all pretty good. But the ones that we like slightly less than enormous great songs like Photograph are because they don't quite hit the mark.
Yeah.
And they do a pretty good job, and our expectations are really, really high because we know what they're capable of by now. And that was Die Hard the Hunter for me. So I went 10-9 Miss Gradenko.
I had the same feeling. One of the things I wanted to say about Miss Gradenko does tie back to his dad's time, for sure. I mean, you definitely get, there's an impression of that and the spy work and being overseas. And only so many bands can pull those things off. Paul McCartney can, U2 can. I mean, you notice the company here they're keeping. It's the elite bands that can deal with this kind of a subject matter. It is hooky, it is fun, and it's just, this is the problem with the Police. Like, your worst song is going against Miss Gradenko. It's just like Miss Gradenko's nothing wrong with that song. It can play on the radio, and people are like, oh yeah, I love this song. It may not be your favorite from any of their albums, but the Police just have so many of these songs where you're like, when we talk about the Police and we both love them, we can go on and forget all the songs that we love, go name 5 new ones, like, oh, I love those songs. I love Miss Gradenko. It is. It's great. It's a great pop song. It covers a challenging topic, and that's good enough for me. Die Hard the Hunter is too long. It's not as good as its peers that cover the same topic. And here's what proves this. What's better, Die Hard the Hunter by Def Leppard or One by Metallica? Like, it's
that's not a close fight.
Right. It's destroyed. So in their genre, it's a strong representation of the soldier song, but it's not anywhere near the pinnacle in their genre. And if it's, mid-tier, then when we look at those things, it's just not going to measure up against that. Now, if they wrote this song 5-10 years later, it would have been different. Maybe they make different choices altogether. But this is the band. They've emerged. They're not quite erupted. Like, they've broke out. All through the night, it already kind of like we'd known about it. Pyromania came, we're like, this song is good. But in the time that this came out, Welcome to the Jungle's coming out. Slippery When Wet had already come out. There's a lot of this already around. And in that group, Metallica's already killing it. In that group, this song doesn't stand out.
I agree.
All right. So that's, we agree, a 10-9 round for the Police. And here we go, mid-fight.
We're on to round 6, yeah. We got Synchronicity 2 against Foolin'.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I just want to note that Foolin' is the song that I've been singing for the last 3 days. When we started, yes. When we determined that these were the records that we were going to do, I've been listening to, and I know you have too, been listening to them track for track and doing the rounds and doing the work that way. But when I walk away and I'm standing in the kitchen frying eggs, the song I'm singing is Foolin'.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you. That how can you not do that chorus? It's not only a chorus, it's a chorus of men singing "off a fool." That triple F. It's great.
Yeah,
I love it, and I love
chorus of men who called themselves the Leopardettes.
Yeah, that's true too. Yes, they're credited. Do they get a second royalty check, or do they hire themselves out?
But again, here come those harmonies that are so good.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is a song they can absolutely play today, and everybody's going to love it and sing along, and it's fantastic. I wouldn't call
And
it
how do you want it? Do you want it acoustic?
Uh-huh.
Do you want it served up album style? Do you want it? We'll do it any way you want. You're going to love it any way we do it.
Yeah.
And that's how it's, I think for a band, especially a guitar band that's this young, that's in their early 20s, usually what develops in a band like this as the songwriting comes along is the compositional things and the guitar wailing.
Yeah.
And they made what had to be a conscious choice to focus on vocals when it came to this record. And man, did they get it right.
Yeah, you for sure.
The funny thing is, the funny thing is I gave this round to Synchronicity too.
Well, I want to make sure we take time appreciating how great Foolin' was, because this is why we do this. Like, I love this song, and I love that Joe, yes, he sounds like he could sing lead for AC/DC, but he's not a one-trick singer. You know, he can do different things, and he does them here. And also, I wanted to take a minute to note the rhythm section, especially Rick's drumming here. This is... again, as a layman, I don't know what I liked about it, but I loved the bass drum and how he gets the work in. And I just thought, you know, like you said, the guitar hooks are strong. They've got that part down, and they're at the very top of the pile when it comes to hooks, it comes to singing. Maybe the lyric needs to be a little stronger in terms of if you're going to compete with the Police. But look how many things they have already covered, you know. And you have to tell me, make me smarter about Rick's drumming here, but it stood out to me as being fantastic within this song. Like, it stood out as being in a good song, a very good song, maybe not quite a pillar, but a very good song. The drumming to me is like, man, that is so good. You know, the way he's working that bass drum in, I just loved it. I loved it, and I did keep singing it for the next 2 days.
This is my favorite song of his behind the drums.
Oh, okay. I'm getting things right. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You're nailing this, because I think what I like about it is he's just dancing.
Okay. He's
just dancing behind the drums. And this is sort of the natural heartbeat groove for him.
Okay.
I think. He may say something different, and I'll stand corrected. But to me, everything else that he plays, he has to play, this is him breathing in and out. And right. I think that comes across. I think that sometimes you hear somebody play a song and it just sounds like they're just talking.
Right.
And it sounds like they're talking for emphasis, and they mean what they say, and they're not trying to conjure words. They're speaking from the heart. And to me, that's this song with Rick Allen on the drums. So I agree with you. On the drums, this is my favorite Rick Allen song. I also want to give Def Leppard a shout out, because I think this is all happening in my imagination, by the way. But when he was in his car accident and the band decided, no, we're not going to leave him behind. He says he's going to do something. He says he's going to get it done. We're going to hang back and see what he does.
Yeah.
He's a drummer who lost his arm in a car accident, and his band said, no, let's hang in there.
Yeah.
He says he's coming up with something. What the hell?
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons that they did that was because he played these grooves so irreplaceably that they said, you know what, we're a band when we're together, and we're going to stay together for our brother. And, that's just, I'm welling up. It's one of the things that I love so much about Def Leppard, among the many hundred things I love about Def Leppard.
Yeah, I love it too. They had a chance to stay together as a family, and there's a million reasons to kick a guy out of a band, including in a party band, too much drinking, right? So they've made this decision in the past. And in this case, they're like, no, we all do fucked up shit. You know, you got hurt. This is terrible. And then they came back with, come on. Hysteria was like this album here. That album, Hysteria, shows what is possible on this album, because it's just a better album. For me, it's just a clearly better album, and it's the one that is required in strip clubs. Like, they broke out of what they were and got to a different place, and that doesn't happen without Rick. He's got to be there.
That's true. I love Pyromania tremendously, and I think I put this record up there because, to me, it rocks a little harder. And when we first started this conversation about this matchup, we were going to hear from Wes maybe about it. And I wanted to give Wes a little more guitar to work with in an album fight. And I think that Pyromania is great. And I wanted to put it up against Synchronicity, but Hysteria is my favorite Def Leppard album.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a Police album that is their grand finale against a Def Leppard album that is still them up and coming.
Right. Yeah, they can see the top of the hill.
In the spirit of that statement, though.
Yeah.
They can see the top of the hill, yeah. In the spirit of that statement, I gave this round to Synchronicity too. This is the song that was, groove-wise, it's a great song. It puts a timestamp, a musical timestamp on MTV, on a whole generation, on a period in our lives, and it introduces young people to themes that have such sophistication and such staying power. We can talk about this song at age damn near 50 like we are.
Right.
In a way that, I mean, it hooked us when we were young, and we can still talk about its depth and the things that it introduced us to that are just concepts. I mean, lyrics like "trapped like lemmings into shiny metal boxes."
Get out of
Come
here.
on.
Yeah.
You can't draw a sword on that. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Sting was just the smartest guy with a pen in his hand.
Yeah. This song is the difference. And this is what does make the difference for me. This is where I look, and I'm looking at the corner, at Def Leppard's corner, seeing if they're going to put their hand on a towel. I don't believe in knockouts in these things, but this is this is Def Leppard coming out damn near at their best. You know, they've been in a rugged fight. They've won a couple of rounds, and this is them coming out going, all right, I'm up on my toes. We're going to get the fight. I've been waiting for this round to fight you. And the police come in and just commence to whooping. This song is, again, above that level. This is like above pillar level is like the 0th level. Before the first, there was the 0, and that's where this song is. It does so many things. First off, Sting says lake 3 different ways. He says it like the Irish way, the Scottish way, and he says lake. I don't know why, but he does. Right. You know, and these things count because he's making these choices on purpose. There's the whole thing. So one of the things that I figured out, I was on Jay Moore's show, and a lot of the guys who listen, they know about this, but we were talking about the band, and so here they are. They're in the middle of breaking up. They're not going to be doing this anymore. So they're just having these epic fights. They've had the big fight. Andy's had his song. Stu has had his song. And now fucking Sting is taking over, and it's the makeup sex. And he starts this song. The first lyric in this song is an orgasmic scream. You know? Like, this is them going, all right, we've made up. We know this is all we have to do is do these next 5 fucking songs. Get the fuck out of the way. It's going to be the best shit we've ever done. And that's what happens here.
God damn.
You know? Yeah. And for me, this is Def Leppard bringing their best out and having to take a knee. So I made this a 10-8 round because it just, you cannot touch. There's no band alive that can touch the Police in this round. It's just too much. The concepts, the music, what Andy is doing, get the fuck out of here. Just don't even come out for this round and say, I'm taking one off. You can have it. You know, it's just too much.
You just described them getting punched in the liver and going down to a knee on fooling. Fuck.
Yeah.
Well, let's move forward and go to round 7, which is another motherfucker of a round. Every Breath You Take.
Mm-hmm.
This song was a game changer.
Yeah.
We've got it up against Rock of Ages. Great song. Great song.
Yeah.
But Every Breath You Take? I mean, the way that you describe Synchronicity 2 being a song that everybody else just stops and goes, well, fuck, we're not matching that one.
Yep.
I think that about Every Breath You Take.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a song that had that feel. It brought you in. It was a little melancholy. There was something about the lyric, Every Breath You Take, that made it sound like... I mean, people chose this as their wedding song. And then I hope at some point somebody like leaned in and went, you realize this fucking shit is about to stop. You don't want to... You're singing this at a wedding?
You may want to pick a Peter Gabriel song or something because this one isn't it. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I agree with you. And one of the things that I wasn't sure, and I'm like, yeah, Pyromania's got some more songs coming up. I don't know if this is the case. This round was the case where I knew that Def Leppard couldn't win. They didn't have the ability to hurt the Police anymore. And the Police absolutely had the ability to beat Def Leppard with anything they had left because the back end of this album is so strong.
Strong.
It's too much. I mean, like you said, Sting still makes $6,000 a week on this song. So I love Rock of Ages. I love that. I love that The Offspring sampled it. I mean, this song is fantastic. This song makes me move, and I was, how do you not sing along with the you always want to say that. I love it.
Right.
I love everything they do, and this is them at their absolute best. I know they play this song every time they're out live playing. This is a pillar song for them, and it's rock, and it's the stuff that Jason McEnroth would love about them because it's rock and fucking roll, and it's great for that. Both of the Ricks are nailing it on this song. They're great, but it's just not even close. This is just, once again, I'm looking at the ring to see if Def Leppard's going to throw in the towel. And again, I don't do that. They keep on fighting. But when I think about peers to this song, Every Breath You Take, the peers are Hey Jude, One, What's Going On? And now I'm welling up thinking about how powerful that comparison is.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
But this is the level of song we're talking about.
Jesus.
Any band, anytime,
it's
anywhere.
True. I mean, it's like a guy who does a great job at being that pinch hitter who comes in and, hey, man, I knock doubles into the gap. That's what I do. All day long, I step in this box and I hit doubles into the gap. I put a swing on. Wait a minute. Is that Mariano Rivera?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Yep.
That's what that is.
If you're the kind of fighter that's I'll die in the ring, the Police will oblige you in this song.
Right. Okay. It's great that you have that level of dedication because guess what?
Yeah.
You might have
We're going to test your resolve, and that's where we're at. I mean, for me, this fight, like I continue it and I listen. I do all the tracks because I want to enjoy the music, and there are great songs on Pyromania. But this is another 8-10 round, and it just doesn't get any easier from here on out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got this 8-10 again.
It's
just the Police just feeding leather into the face of Def Leppard, and I love these Def Leppard songs. This album made me, I was on the fence before on Def Leppard. It didn't fall into like my social group to like this kind of music. And I didn't necessarily care about that, but it did have an impact.
Yeah.
This album made me go, fuck, you know what? I don't care. I like the Cars. I like Def Leppard. I like The Cure. I'm just going to like it. And so that's how much I love this album. I was in high school willing to like go, fuck all that, I like this.
I had this exact same experience from the other direction. I'm like, I love Shaka Khan. I love Prince. I love Stevie Wonder. I love Ready for the World. And I love Def Leppard.
Yeah.
Go ahead, give me a hard time, fellas. I love Def Leppard. And it was this record that turned the corner for me. And so this was a record that bridged gaps. And it's one of the reasons we applaud it. But you're right, man. The home stretch of Synchronicity is ridiculous.
This is
So I think if we can just, it's not that I want to button it up. We've still got 1, 2, 3 tracks. And I think that we can go into some detail, but it's clear that we're both saying that the end of this album and the Police are going to come up with an extra track.
Yeah. Just in case
it's not even going to come into play.
Yeah.
But I think that statement is definitely made. I mean, we have, after Every Breath You Take brings Rock of Ages down to a knee, we got King of Pain against Coming Under Fire. That's just a mismatch.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's that's filler, as Richard and I would say, like that's just a filler song. And it's not to undermine what they do, but that song would be great in a Rocky montage. And I mean that as a compliment. But that's what we're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
This is them sounding kind of like America, and the bass is awesome, and the hooks are always good, and Joe is always great in his delivery. There's nothing wrong. This is a song that beats 99% of the bands in the world, including rock bands. But this might be Sting's strongest lyric on the whole album. I mean, he's like Steinbeck here. He's broken out for me of the songwriting requirement and just saying I can write at the level of anybody. And I did. I wrote down Steinbeck. This is how Steinbeck would write a song: 3 words, 4 words, everything saying. And that song is just so incredible. The ability to pull that off, all of the tools.
To say something like "There's a blue whale beached by a springtide's ebb," and have that mean something to a teenager.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So remember, Tony the Tiger told us that there's number 10 in the world will never beat number 1.
Right.
Number 8 in the world can fight number 9 and number 10, but he never beat number 1.
Yeah.
And to get to the guy who can fight number 1, maybe you get to number 3, but usually it's just number 2.
Right.
He's the only guy who can fight number 1. And that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Even though we're talking about the police pulling away, we're talking about it's a ridiculous level to be able to pull away on Rock of Ages. Coming Under Fire, like you said, would be a great Rocky montage song. But King of Pain, dude.
Yeah. I think the King of Pain song is also, it's a blues song, just redone. They've deconstructed the blues and brought it back in their own way. And again, who does that? Like, who does that this well? It's just such a great fucking song. Def Leppard keeps coming out, but yeah, I'm willing to call it. And I'm glad to wrap up what happens in the next 2 songs because I did take notes. But Mephistopheles hasn't even shown up in this fight yet, and he's about to.
Yeah, right. Yes, you were going to get Mephistopheles busted out on us. I wanted to talk about the groove in King of Pain, where Stu comes back with that when he goes da 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 da. He's having that tension fight on time with himself.
Yeah,
and it's just so good. I mean, at this point, they're just toying with whoever comes along.
Right.
Wrapped Around Your Finger against Action, Not Words. Action, Not Words. That was a good montage song that belonged in Pluto Nash.
Right.
Against Wrapped Around Your Finger and the appearance, like you say, of fucking Mephistopheles.
Yeah.
I had to look shit up in the dictionary when I first heard this record as a teenager. I'd have to say that Sting on this album taught me more than my 11th grade history teacher.
Sure. And you're not mentioning the other 2 guys that I struggle to say their names properly, but Scylla and Charybdis.
And Charybdis.
Yeah, Charybdis. I can't even get his name right. That's what I'm talking about.
And you're trapped between them. What? I'm trapped between the Scylla and Charybdis?
Yeah.
Okay.
What are those?
I guess.
Is that a tool of some kind? You just don't even, you have to go grab something and learn. And this is, when you write songs for a living and you record them, you're hoping to have one song like this. And this album has 3, 4, whatever it is. This is where the Police, they just are so incredible. You get to have these songs by having things like Message in the Bottle and Walking on the Moon already be present, where you get to take that next step and say, I think we can go higher. And that's what this is. This is the culmination. These last couple of songs are wrapping up the best of what they've got, and they've already hit those points. So you do get to go for the Hey Judes and the Yesterdays and those things. And when you get there, it's like, holy shit, this is one of those songs. I mean, this song is as good as anybody's ever written. I wouldn't change a thing about this song.
No.
It's so good.
Stuart Copeland's vocabulary on the drums in Wrapped Around Your Finger is, I don't know if even vocabulary is the right word, because his phrasing, it's as if he's telling you a story with commoners' words in a way that is composed so I can't even describe the sophistication and the things that he taught young drummers that were so unique and not, flame-throwing, mind-blowing, just things that were so individual and sweet and so good. How about Tea in the Sahara versus Billy's
I wanted to
Got
wrap
Gun?
up one more thing since we're waxing about Stewart right now, and 5 albums, he comes in, lays down his beats, and if there's a drop the mic moment, this is the drop the sticks moment. I'm going to take off my stupid glove, I'm going to drop these sticks, and I dare a motherfucker to drum better than that. Now name the drummers that did in 5 albums. He became one of the ultimate all-time greatest drummers ever in 5 albums. And I don't got to do that shit anymore. Yeah. I've already got the trophy. You all can play drums all you want, you know. Just that's all. Like, you know, like when Babe Ruth hit that 60th home run, it's like, I'd like to see another son of a bitch do that. You know.
Yeah.
You're welcome to try. You get there, great. But that's the fucking shit. So he puts the sticks down and says, "That's what I got."
There,
yeah,
motherfuckers. You know, and we can argue about who is on that list.
Yeah.
But really, who was on that list and who you're arguing about?
Who did it in 5 albums?
I mean,
5
it's the Hall
albums.
of Fame. It's the Hall of Fame. John Bonham. You know, Keith Moon. We're talking about John Bonham and Keith Moon.
That's it.
So we could probably dig deep and maybe go Tony Williams and
Mitch Mitchell.
And get really, you know, I don't know where Buddy Rich was in 5 albums. Mitch Mitchell did it. But look at the company that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just among the greatest of all time. And if I haven't articulated it in the very specific words, let me say the very specific words. I love you, Stuart Copeland.
Yes.
There.
Right.
Because out of all the drummers we just named, you know, we can argue about who did it as well.
Yeah.
We're not going to argue about who did it better.
No, that's not possible.
So, Tea in the Sahara.
Yes. Yeah. I was inspired by this book that I read, so I wrote this poem, and it's beautiful. Actually, when I play the guitar and I'm practicing, this is one of the songs I play, and I do a way shittier version. But, I mean, that's how much it means to me. Like, I get this song. I don't know what that means. It's like looking at a Pollock. Like that looks like a bunch of swirled paint. Like, did you just make that shit up? Oh, and it moved me. So this song moves me, and it definitely is better than Billy's Got a Gun. And again, all of the songs that are like Billy's Got a Gun, all of them are better. So this is one of those times where I'm not going to say anything bad about Def Leppard's music because it's fantastic, and I love this album, and it represents a great time in my life. But Tea in the Sahara is a song that I will stop and pay attention to when I hear it played.
Yeah, me too. Worth noting, though, Murder by Numbers.
Yeah.
I don't know where it sits, but it's in my top 3 songs on this record.
Mm-hmm.
I love Murder by Numbers. I love it in its sparseness.
Yeah.
In its individuality. In its twisted, fucked up subject matter.
Yeah. And
it's just a great textural song. It's got that tension in the drum fills that Stu does so well. Zadatan, zadatan.
Yeah.
You know, just making you wait for it and then paying it off.
Yeah.
In such a dirty way. And that was the extra song.
This is their generation's music. You know, the guys born in the 50s.
Yeah.
You know, this is them talking about the things that they had to deal with, nuclear war and all these things. And my favorite lyric from this song is, "Murder is the sport of the elected." And you don't have to lift a finger on your hand, you know, but that is him saying something that's so incredible. And when I evaluate songs, and I won't wash this bias out because I do believe it's better, if you have something to say over like "Let's Party" or "Look at That Ass" or whatever, like, then there's a place for that. But "Murder is the sport of the elected." Back that thing up, can't compete with that lyrically for me. Because, yes, you have a poetry thing, but here is this different message. Murder is the sport of the elected. Like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
God damn.
I liked...
And he's being critical of who we are, you know?
I liked how he said it's a habit-forming need for more and more.
Uh-huh.
The addiction of murdering somebody.
Right.
Yeah. Just crazy. But the groove is what really brings it home for me. I love that groove so much. So,
Yeah, I really enjoy the entire exercise. I say this a lot. I'm on Twitter all the time talking about this at Pete A. Turner. And like you said, the songs continue to just be with me and live with me and hang out. And I think of things and I realize things I never knew. I re-realize things. I get these images from the time when that song came from that are locked deep in my brain that it's like open up in a box of pictures and you're like, oh, that's right. And you can take, that's what this does. And I love it. I had a great time in high school. I had a great time in college. I had a great time in the Army. All these songs bring up these things, whatever song it is, if it has that attachment, I just encourage anybody to go break these boxes open, play these songs, support these artists, and go on these rides with us because they're absolutely worth it.
They are a lot of fun. So we're proclaiming the Synchronicity album by the Police the winner of this album fight. We love Def Leppard. We love Pyromania. We've had a member of the Police on the show. We should probably try to get somebody from Def Leppard on the show because we could love on them too. And I can't wait for Hysteria to go up against somebody, which it will. I don't know what yet, but it's only a matter of time. And that might be Def Leppard's comeuppance. So stay tuned, everybody. I'm at JohnLG69 on Twitter. And we are both at Break It Down Show on Twitter. So hit us up. We hope you guys enjoyed this album fight as much as we did, and we did. So for exactly all those reasons that Pete said, except I had a shitty time in high school, but the good times I had involved these two records, for sure. And we'll see you next time.
Yep. Lots of insight.
Fucking A.